When a circus gets a young elephant and they want to train it to not run away, they put a huge chain on its leg and pound a stake deep into the ground. Well, that young elephant can't move that chain, can't pull that chain out of the ground. And eventually they learn that they can't escape. So as the elephant gets bigger and stronger, they can put a smaller chain on it, tap a small stake into the ground, and the elephant, unless frightened, won't even try to escape. And in many ways, this habit that they form is their own prison. And we find that too with presentations. We talked in our last video about not opening your presentation with your name and hello, because that's a habit that people get into. As we said, almost 100% of people open their presentations that way. And so because everybody does it that way, it's not interesting anymore. So we need to find a way that's a little bit more interesting. And I want to make 4 recommendations for you on more interesting ways to open your presentation. Number 1 is to open your presentation with a question. If you watched the last video that I did, that's how I opened it, was with a question. And when we ask a question, the people in the audience perk up and listen because they might want to answer that question. And if we raise our hand, we'll see that they raise their hand as well because they want to be participatory, and that participation wakes them up. Our second recommendation would be to use a quote. By using the quote of a famous person or a well-recognized or learned person, it can transfer their wisdom to our presentation. So when we use that quote, we sound more learned, we sound more interesting, and then of course that quote should have some relationship to the presentation that we're going to give and what we're going to talk about. The third thing that we would recommend would be to tell a story. It could be a personal story, it could be a story from a famous person, it could be a parable. You notice that I started today, or started this presentation, this video, with the story about how they train elephants. And so I can take that story and make it a larger point, catch the audience's interest, and get my presentation going. And then of course the fourth way that we would recommend would be to tell a joke. Maybe you're a good joke teller and you can tell a funny story that can get the audience to laugh. People like to laugh, they like to participate, they like to be entertained a little bit. Now, I know that your presentation isn't one that we want to entertain, but even within a serious presentation, people like to laugh and have some sort of entertainment value. So if you tell a good joke, then go ahead and tell that joke to the audience. So the 4 ways that we want to recommend, and this is a little mnemonic that you can remember: a question, a quote, a story, or a joke. Question, quote, story, joke. Those are 4 good ways to open your presentation. And remember, you won't get better at making presentations unless you give a presentation.